Hey, it's Dorleen. Welcome to my channel and to my creative life. I'm having fun today with working in my junk journal. So I had decided at one point to start peeling all the little stickers off the different fruits that I was buying. And instead of putting them just like in a random envelope, I decided to put them on a page in my junk journal. Now that you can see that in that smaller little portion on the left, but on the right, that's an ad from a local newspaper or a local grocery store, and I just cut out a bunch of fruits and then just did like a little collage over there, and then I added some of the bigger stickers like off the watermelon and a cantaloupe. So after all that was done, and let me tell you, this took a while. This wasn't a one-day project. I decided to put some Mod Podge on it just to kind of seal everything in, and that worked fine. Now, so once I did that, of course, I have to wait for it to dry. I did have my heat gun a little bit on it just to get it to dry a little bit quicker because I don't have any patience. But right now I'm just showing you some of these. So I didn't think about this at first, but when I saw that Apple Elementary and Abbott Elementary, and it was off an apple, I thought, oh my God, that's so clever. And I didn't even keep it. I threw it away. And then the next apple had the same thing. And that's when I thought, wait a minute, these little things are so cute. And then I started realizing a lot of them had little cute little designs, very colorful. And some of them really showed like the different countries they came from, which, I mean, I live in an agriculture town, so a lot of that produce should have been bought locally. But unfortunately, when you buy them at the grocery store, you don't know where you're going to get your produce. But that's fine. It all tastes good and it's all good for you. So I'm good with that. But once I did that, I thought, okay, well, now what? Because there's this left side that kind of faces it. And then, of course, the back of that smaller flap. And so after a little bit, I thought, oh, I'm going to paint some fruit. Now, most of the time when I paint, I always tell people I can't really draw or paint any images. I kind of have to like have an example, but I thought fruit, come on, that can't be too hard. So I just threw down some yellow paint, and then I'm just going to do a little curve, kind of like a very open C to make my first banana. And you can see it's very clumpy. The paint's kind of thick, which is fine. I do add a little bit of water to add that second one. And you'll notice as I'm painting these, they are not really the best looking. Let me think what I'm trying to say. Like the shape of the fruit. Like obviously you can tell it's a banana. It's yellow and it's got that curve, but it doesn't have much character, I guess is the best way to say it. So even when I took this, it's called cherry red, which is more of a pinkish red. So I have a craft room and it's upstairs, and I do have some paint, acrylic paint. Some of it's in tubes like I'm using here with the yellow. Some of it's this little delusional, I'm not even sure how to say it. But I don't have like all the colors. Most of my acrylic paint is downstairs. We have a guest room down there, and I've kind of converted it into my storage room because I've been doing a lot of like paint night type things, paint brushes, painting events, I should say. And so I kind of keep everything there so it's all in one place. So I'm using what I have upstairs because I didn't want to go downstairs and grab. And this is that green that I use, and this is more like an olive green. And because it was an olive green, the first thing I thought of was an avocado. Now, I know you're thinking, wait, isn't this a fruit layout or spread? Yeah, I know. But some of these stickers on that other page were from the avocados. So, it is what it is. I don't care. But you could, like I mentioned, I don't have a lot of different colors. And even those apples, I probably wouldn't have used that color. I probably would have used more of a red. But my thought was at this point, I'm just putting kind of shapes and images down so we can tell what they are. And then as I go back, I'll use either watercolor paints, maybe some markers. I do have acrylic markers. I also have watercolor paints that I would use something else to really get into the fruit and to make sure that they have the shading and the details that really make sure that that's an apple versus just a round red circle or round dark pinkish circle that I'm doing right here. And that's okay. I'm fine with what it looks like right now. Another thing I decided to do, so I've been seeing a lot of paintings, mostly on canvas, where the background is, I don't know the word I want to use. I want to use the word muddy, but I'm not sure if that's accurate because it's really pretty. And when I say the word muddy, it almost sounds like it wouldn't be pretty. But basically what I'm doing is I'm covering all the in-betweens in black. Now, once this dries and everything's ready for me to do another layer, I'm going to cover it with, I'm going to call it teal, but it's actually a really light color. There's just so many different variations of the word teal that it's hard to say, but it's definitely more of a green than a blue, so like an ocean kind of teal. And I'm going to put that and cover the black. But my thought was, or what I've seen in samples, was that you don't completely cover the black. It's still kind of, see how I'm not really trying to paint neat, I'm painting messy. And so you still kind of see the black near the fruits, and also even underneath that teal color. And I love the way this is looking right now. But you're going to see as this goes along that I'm also going to do another step to that. But again, I love the way it's looking right now because this is the look I'm going for. Again, kind of muddy is the right word. I don't know. Maybe you have a better word. And if you do, leave it in the description so I can describe it a different way if I need to. Because I'm definitely going to try this technique again because I don't think I mastered it. But I do like the way it looks. So I had to leave all this overnight, let it dry. And now I'm actually downstairs and I'm painting with my granddaughters, and you're going to hear her at the end. They're doing their paint stuff. I'm doing mine. And so we just grabbed more acrylic paint, but this time I've actually got some of the colors that I want. So in this case, it's a red and a yellow and a little bit of orange, and I'm just trying to make it like a darker yellow to add some, again, highlights on these bananas. And you see at this point, I just have that orange, really kind of a light orange on the tip, both tips of the bananas that don't really look that pretty, and I'll grab some brown later and adjust those. I'm using a smaller brush at this point as well, and I'm just adding some shading into those two avocados. I'll do it in the apple and of course the cherries. And because I had mentioned earlier that all my the majority of my colors are downstairs, which is where I am now, I did grab a red. So I'm filling in those apples and also trying to develop a shape to them. I'm also filling in the cherries and doing kind of the same thing. I love that lighter, kind of brighter red or whatever you want to call it that I did in the first place, because it definitely does add some color variation. I'm adding some white. I really don't like the way it looks. Look, I'm doing like 3 or 4 layers of red on that one. The avocados are technically pretty simple. I tried to do a little bit of like splotching on it. I did not like it. You're going to see all my phases, or the phases, as I'm going through. The bananas were pretty easy. They pretty much stuck to what they look like, except for, like I mentioned, I am going to put some brown on both tips on both bananas. But other than that, I love the way I did the darker like shading going throughout up and down the banana. I love the way the cherries look. And again, you're going to see lots of different variations of these cherries because I add a lot of red there, more shading and little like indenting and things like that to it. But you'll see that in just a minute. But I just want to talk a little bit about my channel. So I hope you do decide to subscribe to my channel if you're not already a subscriber. So I love to explore and experiment with a lot of different mediums. So my number one kind of thing is scrapbooking and paper crafting. But I read this article, or I saw this thing, and it said something about if you're a multi-crafter, like basically like why doesn't one particular art or craft kind of, do all the things for you? And I started kind of thinking about it, and, I love to scrapbook because, first of all, that's more of a memory keeper. I love reliving good memories. Unfortunately, even some bad ones, because I do try to do some of those as well. But they're also memories, and you're going to go back to them and relive them. And even my kids, my kids and my grandkids, they all look through these things. So that's my reason why to scrapbook. And I don't get real artsy on my scrapbooks, if you want to say that. Like, I don't do a lot of mixed media. I just really kind of do the picture, have some fun colors, embellishments, things like that, and journaling. And then there's junk journaling, or in this case, like a little bit of mixed media. I think I really like this because this is where I get messy. This is where I get to play, and I'm playing with paint and colors, and I don't care if I mess up, and there's no rules, and I just feel a little bit more freeing with this. And even though a lot of times it's just some random fruit on a page, but that's fun. Look at me, I'm having a blast. And I'm also having a good time with my granddaughters because, like I mentioned, they're at this table with me, but they're doing their own things. And so that's my why for like junk journaling and then my why for card making, because I do make cards as well, is because I think that's really kind of more instant gratification. First of all, the base is a lot smaller, so you finish them quicker. So that's always a nice thing. And also, those are usually something that I give away. Like I'm sending it to someone because it's their birthday or their anniversary or their, unfortunately, sympathy, something like that. But it's something that's shareable. And I think that's my why for the cards, because I enjoy that outreach with them. And also, again, the fact that it's done pretty instantly or pretty quickly, or at least the way I make cards. I know some people spend a lot of time on theirs, but mine are pretty simple. But anyhow, I thought that whole, what's your why was really interesting. And maybe if you are a multi-crafter, maybe you could ask yourself that too. Like, why? Does it even really matter? No, but it's interesting, that's for sure. But again, I'm going to go back to the picture or the spread that I'm doing. You were watching, you could tell I was just playing a lot. I really wanted to do some highlights on these apples, but it just never felt right. So even though there is white there, I do end up putting a lot of red over it. So it's more of a pinkish, I guess. But I will tell you, I love the cherries, and I love all the dimensions on the cherry. I think it just looks really pretty. And then the other thing I wanted to mention on that muddy look I was talking about in the background. So you see how I put white over that teal. So right now I'm thinking, I'm not even really giving much thought. I'm really kind of focusing on finishing the fruit. But as I think I'm done, I'm looking at it and I think, wait, I think I put too thick of a layer. And so I'm going to take a wet paper towel in a minute and really try to wipe some of that white off. And the other thing I didn't like is I used a paintbrush and I feel like it was too clean, if that makes sense. I think it might have been better if I would have used my fingers or something that is not so clean. I did, like I mentioned, I'm removing paint here and there. And after I do that, I really like it a lot better because you can see the black, and that's really what's kind of outlining the fruits. And then you can see the teal because I just wiped a lot off, or a lot of the white off. And then, of course, you can see the white because that is the overall color. Thanks so much for watching. And here's my granddaughter, Daisy. Bye.
Please like and subscribe. Bye.